Hello everybody. I'm out here at my local trails today. I wanted to make a quick little video about my new bike. It is the Santa Cruz Heckler SL. And it's going to be a quick little review, comparison, kind of compare it to my Decoy, explain the differences between a lightweight e-bike and a full-size e-bike. I've been riding this for a little over 3 weeks now, maybe 4 or 5 rides on it, not sure. But yeah, we're gonna go take it down some trails and let you know how much I like it and how it compares to a regular e-bike, full size, full power. Yeah, full power. Because it is quite different, but in a good way. So let's go ride. Okay, so I've had this bike for a couple of weeks now. This is probably my, let's say, maybe 5th or 6th ride on it. So I'm pretty used to it. Right off the bat, I'm gonna say I love the bike. It's absolutely amazing. You know, to be fair, this is my first, I guess you could say, high-end bike and not direct-to-consumer bike, which I know typically gets viewed as like they seem to be like cheaper, lesser, you know, bikes, but I don't know, maybe there's some truth to that because this bike feels very well put together. As far as climbing goes, which I'm doing right now, it's great. Compared to the full-powered e-bike, there's definitely a difference. I want to say you're putting in maybe somewhere between like 30 to 40% more effort yourself compared to the full-power motor. Like, well, I used to have the Shimano, the first-gen Shimano motor, but it's not bad at all. It's nothing like riding an acoustic bike. I'm in the middle power mode, which is what I would ride my Decoy in pretty much all the time, unless I was doing something stupid or a super steep climb. And yeah, it's pretty good. If you're just riding at a leisurely pace, it doesn't feel too different. The only time you start to really notice the differences is on the steeper climbs. I guess the less torque that the Vizua motor puts out, you can actually feel that. But if you're not like in a rush or, you know, trying to fly up the hill, not that big of a difference. All right, gonna get our first little warm-up lap in on this trail called Hang 'em High. You know, it's, like I said, it's a little damp out today, so I'm not gonna go too crazy. Plus, you know, I'm riding solo. First thing I will say about this bike is the weight difference. This bike comes in a little over 42 pounds from the factory with pedals. I weighed it, and that's about a little more than 10 pounds lighter than my Decoy, and you feel it riding the bike. It's definitely way more nimble, lighter, way easier to maneuver. It feels like a regular bike. So that right there is a great part of it. I did weigh it again after I did a wrap and installed cush core on both tires, and it came in a little over 45 pounds, I think, which still is not bad at all. My Decoy, I think I weighed it, was at 53. Oh, that's not the line I wanted. That's the line we're taking. Yeah. I think my Decoy came in like 53, 54 pounds, something like that. And it didn't carry its weight well. It felt heavy. Not only maneuvering the bike around, whether, you know, putting it on top of your car, in a bit of a truck, but when you rode, especially on anything that was like kind of flat or not that steep downhill, the bike just felt heavy. Even if you were using it in boost mode, and you're trying to power through like flat sections, as soon as you stop pedaling, the bike just felt like it hit a wall and it wanted to slow down. Now I will say, if you live somewhere where you have like really steep, gnarly enduro trails, or if you use your e-bike / trail bike for bike parks a lot, then I think the Decoy would probably be a little better. I've taken that to my local bike park, Mountain Creek, quite a few times, and honestly, it was solid. The extra weight accelerates you down the trail really quickly. Kind of scary at first, but once you get used to it, it's not that bad. and mine was 170, 165 travel, and yeah, it definitely made the extra chunky stuff really nice. It wasn't too bad. I've yet to test this bike on anything super gnarly or steep or any bike parts. I think it's going to do pretty good, but I still think the Decoy or a full-size enduro e-bike like that would have the upper hand. Another big thing, at least for me, is I've only ridden Fox suspension on anything my whole life. This is my first RockShox suspension, and I was a little worried I wasn't gonna like it. It wasn't gonna be as good, and to be honest, it is quite the opposite. This suspension is so subtle. I don't know, man. I don't know what they did with this thing, but it feels like I'm riding on a cloud. You know, maybe out the box it doesn't have as much support as the Fox suspension does, but I threw a few tokens in the front and the back, and it feels real good. One place you do notice the lack of power is jibby stuff like this. So getting up this kind of stuff, you definitely have to put a good amount more power in, but it's still very doable. Like, you know, you can still power on those cranks, get the motor spinning. I didn't even have to go into boost for that one. It just requires a little more effort, a little more body input, but it's still way better than trying to do it on a regular acoustic bike, depending on, you know, what your flavor is. Some people like to earn their turns, get that burn. This is another kind of hard, punchy section. Like, my Decoy would make easy work of this stuff. This bike, a little bit more rider input. But again, if you're in any sort of, you know, regular, decent mountain biking shape, it's not gonna be a problem. Now, it's trails like this where the lightweight e-bikes, at least in my opinion, from what I've ridden, I should say, are king compared to the full-size, full-power ones. It's, you know, kind of downhilly, but mostly flat. And it just feels more like a normal bike. It feels very much like a normal bike. Coming through here with the Decoy, the bike felt heavy, and even with the motor assist, you know, I was still pedaling my ass off just to keep my momentum up. And, you know, don't get me wrong, you're gonna have to pedal on this regardless of what bike you have, because it's flat. But it's just, it's more playful. The bike moves around better. It's easier to get accelerating and going. Hit these little flat turns nicer. You don't feel the weight. And that's kind of why I made the switch, because, whew, a little slick. Most of the trail places I ride are not super steep downhill. We have a lot of rocks and technical stuff, which is another point for this bike, because when you're trying to work your way through all those like chunky technical rocks, a 50-pound bike doesn't feel great. This one, on the other hand, it feels fantastic. Speaking of, let's go ride some technical rocks. So, working your way through stuff like this feels very good. Bike is nimble, easy to just maneuver over everything. Oh, that's not gonna feel nice. Don't want to smash my chain. Speaking of not smashing my chain, there's no bash guard on this bike. Technically on my Decoy there really wasn't one either, but the bottom of the frame came down so low that it kind of just smacked the frame. It was kind of like a built-in bash guard. This, if you do that, you're just smashing your chain ring. So I don't know what that's all about. Kind of annoying, but it's all right. You just deal with it. Oh, it feels so nice. Oh yeah, speaking, I was talking about RockShox before. Especially going over stuff like that, it really just takes like the shock out of your hands. I don't know. Like a brand new Fox fork, like fresh. Ooh, which way are we going? We're gonna go this way. like fresh out the box, day one, might feel similar, but I don't know, this is just like something different. I don't know if it's just a newer RockShox suspension that's like this, or if it's always been like this. I can't say because I've never ridden it before. But it takes like that initial like harshness out of all the little bumps and chatter. I will say I still do like the stiffness of like the Fox forks, since they're like thicker. Especially I had a 38, and I think, is this a Lyric? I don't even know the name of the suspension. I think, what are these, like 36 or 35 millimeter suspensions? I don't really know, but I don't really mind the flex on my trail bike. Okay, let's hit a little bit of technical rock. Techie rock, slab-ish chunk. It's all the above. It's got a little bit of everything. Where are we going? I'm kind of lost. Ah, here we are. There we are. A few lines over here. Don't know which way I'm going. I think I normally go the other way. That's all right. Yeah, this bike feels great on this stuff. Let's see if I can clear this today. Oh, we got it. We got it. Can we get? Oh. That would have been fun. OTB. Getting up, that's not bad. Getting over here, we got to go this way. That's the hard part. Let's hit this little rock roll over here. Get myself situated. Yeah, just come around here. We're gonna take the easier side today. Oh. Get up. This is a nice steep, loose, mushy climb. Yeah, full powered e-bike, that would be easier, but by no means is this hard. And again, I'm not even in like the strongest power mode. We're just chilling in trail, or whatever Fazua calls it. The middle one. Is there a trail over here? I am so lost. The battery life. So, I am down 1 bar. I am also not on a trail, but I am down 1 bar of battery, so I'm gonna say that's one of the biggest differences you'll notice is the battery life. I mean, for one, it's a significantly smaller battery. Well, I shouldn't say significant. I think this is like a 430 watt hour, maybe something like that. Whereas the Decoy was 540. I gotta double check on that, but it's something like that. So the battery life is definitely less, but I have yet to kill this bike on a ride. I think I've done, my longest ride has been maybe 13-ish miles, and it was very technical. Lots of climbing and techie, rocky terrain. So there's a lot of boost mode and a lot of load on the motor. So I think the battery got down to maybe 30%. Not bad at all. I think for a regular ride, you can knock out 20 miles if you really wanted to, no issues. You know, you'd probably be down to maybe 10% battery. But for me, especially around here, that's fine. One huge benefit this bike has is it's very quiet. I mean, not only the motor is way more quiet, this Fazua Drive 60. Sorry, I don't know the name of anything yet. I'm terrible at this, but you know, there's like a slight whine compared to my Shimano. That thing was so loud. But just everything on the bike is silent. Between the suspension, it is a Industry 9 hub. It's the lower end one, so it's a little clicky, but you can barely hear it when you're riding. This bike makes no rattles or anything. It is a very quiet bike, and I'm not used to that. And I kind of dig it, to be honest. This bike also feels really good on like little jibby stuff like this, little like side hit stuff. It, you know, again, it could just be the bike itself, the weight distribution, or just, you know, how much lighter it is. Sometimes when I was pulling for stuff like that on a Decoy, it would feel like I was yanking my arms out of their sockets. You know, after you ride the full weight for a while, you kind of get used to it. But there was no denying it always felt heavy. Ooh, let's see if I can get this techie thing. Yep, okay, we got it. And touching back on what I said, how quiet this bike was earlier, this little chattery downhill section I'm gonna go through, I'm gonna shut up, let you just hear the silence, how quiet this bike is. Oh, I love that. It's just like all tire and trail noise. I'm not used to that, but it is a lovely sound. Coming up to a fun little section here. It's a little bit of a downhill. A lot of little rocks and roots everywhere. I don't know all the lines, but then again, there are many lines. Sorry, I'm going slow through the slop. I'm trying to stay, for the most part, clean. But this is definitely fun. I'm just gonna stay quiet and ride. Get wet. Yeah, it's usually a lot faster, but the ground being damp and soft, not quite rolling like we normally would be. Still fun though. Oh, and another point I forgot to touch on is how well this bike climbs. And I know you're gonna say, well, it's an e-bike, of course it climbs well. Well, yes, that may be true. Not all e-bikes climb equally. So even a section like this, not super steep, but a lot of little bumpy, gravelly things. The bike is just more composed. It has you in a better seating position. You know, I guess it's more of a, what's the opposite of slack? Steeper seat tube angle. Yeah, it just climbs way better than my Decoy did. The Decoy seat tube angle is kind of slack. The bike itself is slacker. But this, it's just way more comfortable to climb with. I don't feel myself like having to lean over the front as much on the steeper stuff either. So while all e-bikes do climb well because there's a motor, this one, at least from my experience, climbs exceptionally well, and it's way more comfortable. And I do like that. I don't find myself having to get up out of the seats as much and like grind to get up like steeper techie sections. I can kind of just stay seated, comfortable, put the power down and get up when I need to. That's definitely a nice plus. So in conclusion, I gotta say, I do like this bike a lot. You know, I'm still kind of getting used to it. Suspension is mostly dialed in and everything. I'm sure over time I'll be making some tweaks here and there, but I'm really loving it. And I'm not missing like my Decoy, you know, the full powered e-bike at all. It's definitely, you know, the trade-off in power is worth just having the nimbleness and having the bike feel like a real mountain bike. The only real drawbacks I can really say, you know, the lack of power, that's debatable. Get a little bit more exercise, maybe you don't get as far as quick. Not a big deal. I'm still getting up the climbs. There's plenty of energy for the downhills, which is, in my view, the main point of having an e-bike. I don't really like the lack of display, mainly because I was just used to that beforehand. You know, again, not a deal breaker. I believe with the Vizua motors, you can buy a Garmin and use that as display if you really want to. I don't think it's necessary. I'm just getting used to not having a display, not seeing what gear I'm in. Not really a big deal. Oh, we got some hikers. How are you? Back to our regular scheduled programming. Where was I? Oh, I'm about to be face first in the dirt. I don't pay attention. But yeah, there's really not many drawbacks to this. The lightweight e-bike, specifically this one, over a full powered one. It's been pretty great. Oh. So I think that is it for now. I don't know if I touched on everything I wanted to. Maybe, probably not. I'll make more videos. But I think for now, I'm gonna go and keep lapping that trail, because if you couldn't tell, I really like riding that trail. It's a lot of fun. So, till next time, I don't know. Till next time.